When I was younger, I used to be a lot more gullible than I am now. I think everybody is like that to a certain extent. The less life experience we have, the more likely we are to believe what people tell us than an older and wiser person might be. Someone who has been around for a while will be in a better position to evaluate far-fetched claims than a child would be. Of course, this will not always be the case, but my point is that our bullshit detectors improve as we accumulate life experience. Carl Sagan is often quoted as the guy who came up with "extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence." This is true and useful when it comes to quickly deciding who has the burden of proof. If I claim that I can fly like a bird by simply flapping my arms, then it's up to me to demonstrate it, or admit that I was bullshitting. Now, the strange thing is that a number of adults seem to apply their bullshit detectors inconsistently. For example, I doubt anyone would accept my claim about flying, but millions accept the idea that Muhammad flew up to heaven on a horse, and millions of different people believe that Jesus flew up to heaven without a horse. Of course, the difference between my claim and the religious ones is that I didn't invoke the supernatural. So we need to consider the existence of the supernatural as a separate claim. Does it exist? Can horses, prophets, and messiahs really fly? If you believe that these things are possible, then that's your business. But if you want to convince me that they can, then you've just taken on the burden of proof. If you want to persuade others that telepathy is real, or that praying to a particular saint or deity can result in physiological healing, then you need to demonstrate it. Show us mind-to-mind communication in controlled laboratory conditions, or the amputee who has regrown a limb. I've been looking into supernatural claims with a critical eye for at least 10 years now, and in my experience, the claims are always more extraordinary than the evidence presented to back them up. This applies to flying saucers, crop circles, telepathy, levitation, ghosts, angels, demons, and gods. The common theme seems to be overreaching for an explanation for something which is poorly understood. Sometimes the supernatural is invoked, or magic, and in the case of intelligent aliens, there is an appeal to advanced technology and some kind of need to believe that we're not the most intelligent species around. It seems to me that a lot of people are uncomfortable with cold, hard reality, especially the conclusion that humans are the most intelligent life forms we know of. Maybe there are gods, fairies, mermaids, hobgoblins, and intelligent aliens among us, but I strongly doubt it. I struggle to understand why more people don't use the reality they find themselves in as a starting point for their research. But then, I keep encountering people who seem to find reality dull and boring, and blur the boundary between it and the world of their imagination. This is seldom more apparent than in the shady world of the conspiracy theorists. Although I've never been religious, I used to buy into a number of conspiracy theories, including 9/11 being an inside job, and governments deliberately contaminating our water supplies with poisons to dull our ability to figure out that that's what they were doing. It was my skepticism about the moon hoax which triggered a massive increase in skepticism on my part. For the first time, I spent more time reading the debunking material than the conspiracy theories themselves. The thing which caused me to start seriously questioning all extraordinary claims was the idea that there should have been stars visible in the background of the photos taken on the moon. Having some practical experience with old-fashioned cameras, I quickly realized that in order for the sunlit astronauts to be correctly exposed, a fast shutter speed and a higher f-number or aperture would have been necessary, in which case there's no way that stars would be visible. In order to take photos of stars, you need a tripod to keep the camera steady, and an exposure time of at least several seconds. Why? Because they are so much further away from us than our own star. If you tried to take a photo of anything at all with these settings in sunlight, it would be massively overexposed. So I wondered, If the conspiracy theorists were wrong about that, then how much else were they wrong about? I soon found out that they were wrong about almost everything. I felt like an idiot for being so gullible for so long. Cold, hard reality isn't so bad after all, and figuring out how the world works becomes fascinating, rather than scary. For a long time I was highly skeptical of science, because I thought the individual scientists were too focused on their area of research, so they were missing the bigger picture. Although I never could quite put my finger on what exactly they were missing out on. It turned out that I was the one missing out on the bigger picture, but I didn't know it at the time. Science is the best method we have for figuring out what's going on in the world, and how it works. I felt like I stumbled on something great, and since then have felt compelled to share it with as many as will listen. Critical thinking and a willingness not only to admit we don't understand everything, but to want to honestly investigate and refine the understanding we do have is vital. We don't have to be scientists to appreciate the value of scientific methodology and apply its principles in our own lives. So when I encounter young Earth creationists like Ken Ham blatantly misrepresenting science and denying reality, I feel a strong urge to say something about it. Young Earth creationism is a particularly pernicious conspiracy theory, which causes good people to deny reality and throw away the best method we have for understanding the world. Christopher Hitchens had a great analogy. Imagine someone hands you a very expensive chocolate. "Thank you, that looks nice," you say, as you unwrap it. You then throw the chocolate away and munch on the wrapper. It's not only the denial of science and reality which irritates me when it comes to young earthers, but also their claim to be the only true Christians. I invariably point them in the direction of the BioLogos Foundation and other Christians, even William Lane Craig, who thinks that young Earth creationism is an embarrassment. Not all Christians interpret Genesis 1 the way Ken Ham and Ray Comfort do. Carl Sagan, in his book called The Demon-Haunted World, wrote about a baloney detection kit, something I took to heart when I first read it several years ago. I developed my own bullshit detector from the baloney detection kit. It's an excellent book, and I recommend it to any of you who have a suspicion that people are trying to pull the wool over your eyes, but you're not quite sure how they're doing it. Question everything, including what you've heard in this video. Question the Bible. Question the Quran. Question the used car salesman and the televangelist. And above all, make sure your bullshit detector is working properly.